I'm not an easy teacher. I'm very kind and gracious, but I'm certainly not an easy teacher. So you'll see how they met all of the challenges with grace, humor, and authenticity. So a story isn't born easily, and sometimes it's easy enough to tell a story out loud when at a dinner table or when the mood strikes, but when you write it down, something else becomes apparent. Every story that we want to tell needs to be held in a form, and that will allow it to be finished. So at the Thanksgiving table, when you're surrounded by loved ones being asked to tell the one about Uncle Bob, it's easy to talk about it, but to write it down is a completely different process and requires a lot of each writer. So Akil had been writing prose, and I gave him an assignment about writing about a holiday dinner. He wrote a play because that seemed the best way to get all the voices of the family. So I'm going to just give a little preamble of his work. So, narrator. And so the day begins with terrible racist jokes and terrible golf. This is Akil's holiday. One of the reasons they are so terrible is because Uncle Bob likes to talk all the time. It becomes hard to concentrate with all the ridiculous comments Uncle Bob insists on making. At the ninth hole, Uncle Bob and Akil find themselves in the middle of the fairway. Uncle Bob is chatting up a storm. A few ladies are waiting at the tee. One of the women yells out angrily, "Hey, can you play through so we can get going?" Uncle Bob, "Go ahead and swing. It's 200 yards. You'll never get near us." Narrator. A larger woman gets up to the tee to take her drive, fuming. She makes a powerful swing, strikes the ball, and sends it spinning into the two men. The ball hits Uncle Bob, who immediately grabs himself and begins to scream. The large woman comes running up to Bob, now completely apologetic about her angry swing. Woman, "I'm a nurse, I can help." The woman approaches Bob, the narrator. The woman approaches Bob and kneels by his side to check out what might have been injured. She begins to rub his lower private area, attempting to soothe the pain. Woman, "Now, does that feel better?" Uncle Bob, "Oh yes, that feels wonderful, but my thumb still hurts like hell." Okay, so it goes on. That's You can ask Akil for a copy of the story. I'm not allowed to read the rest here. All these writers have found forms to put their stories on the page. It's not an easy act to do that, I assure you. A story has to move from something ephemeral to something that can last and be passed from hand to hand. Good writing is always a process of transformation. Maya Angelou says that we delight in the beauty of the butterfly, but rarely admit the changes it has gone through to achieve that beauty. So, what you were hearing today are the butterflies of their labor. Angelou says a few other things. "I can be changed by what happens to me, but I refuse to be reduced by it." She also says, "Courage is the most important of all the virtues because without courage, you can't practice any other virtue consistently." She also says, "A bird doesn't sing because it has an answer, it sings because it has a song." So, here are the songs that are for all of us here. So there are 4 readers tonight. I'm going to invite them each up individually, but first we'll read a play by Akil Javeri. Exactly? Javeri, thank you. And to read the parts, we've got Michael Eichmann, we've got Sarah Greenstein, and Laura Javeri. Okay, thank you. So come on up.